It's Thursday morning, August 17th, and earlier this morning I was given permission by Air Attack 17 to overfly the highway fire, the 30-acre fire, the fire that is now holding at 30 acres here in Nevada County, California. Here's the lay of the land. This picture is looking to the south. I'm currently in the Husky at 8,500 feet over the little town of Washington, over the South Yuba River, looking towards the south. Highway 20 would be parallel to the top of the picture up here. This is the paved road to Washington, the Washington Road. As the Washington Road winds down into Washington Creek, you locals will remember this big hairpin turn right here in Washington Creek as it continues on to the town of Washington. Right here in this hairpin curve is the source of this fire. This is the heel of the fire. Initially yesterday I was thinking that maybe this was a lightning caused fire, but now looking at the fire today, I'm pretty well convinced that this was started by human activity right here at the curve of the road. Don't know if it was a hot break situation because this is a very steep grade down, or a dragging chains or vehicle caused, or some other nefarious form of human activity. But this appears to be the source of the fire here in the hairpin turn on the Washington Road at the Washington Creek. From here, the fire headed up this slope towards Alpha Road. This is Alpha Road, the dirt road that we often take into the town of Washington off of Highway 20. And this is the Alpha Diggings, which makes a natural fire barrier right along the Alpha Road here. So yesterday we had a massive air attack on this fire. By the way, this fire is a U.S. Forest Service fire, not a CAL FIRE fire. But we had a lot of CAL FIRE air support, at least a half a dozen S2Ts operating out of Nevada County Airport, dropping most of the afternoon. The fire started about 2:30 in the afternoon, and because of the steepness of the terrain, this retardant has been able to hold this fire at this 30 acres, and you can see here, this would be the left flank of the fire here. Loads of retardant on the left flank, and behind this smoke it appears that there's loads of retardant on the right flank as well. So these tankers were able to get into this rather steep canyon and drop downhill and continue to escape down canyon. Here's a wider range view of what I'm talking about. This fire is only just 12 miles to the east of Blanco Lirio Global Headquarters here in the Grass Valley, Nevada City area, near the Nevada County Airport. And we're talking about, here's Highway 20. This is, of course, north up map. Highway 20 going along here. Here's South Yuba River. Here's the little town of Washington in here. And here is the Washington Road, the only paved roadway into the town of Washington. And right in here is the source of this fire, and it is burned up the side of this canyon. This would be the west-facing side of the canyon on up to Alpha Road right here, which is where the diggings are located. And looking at the satellite view, here's the Alpha Diggings. And so right about in here is exactly where this fire is located. They're expecting this fire to hold at 30 acres today, but there are still evacuations in effect. Here are the mandatory and recommended evacuation areas. Oh, they've expanded it. Okay, so here on Zone Haven, you'll get an alert about these evacuations on your cell phone pretty quick as soon as they issue them. But what you're going to get on your cell phone is this number, NCO Echo 315. So you need to memorize what number your evacuation area is so that you can know that they're talking about you. They'll give a little brief description like near the town of Washington, but you really have no idea. And this map that we're looking at here won't be generated for a good 30 or 45 minutes after the notification has been sent out. So they're really relying on us to memorize our numbers for that initial evacuation notice. Now, if you're in the actual evacuation area, hopefully sheriffs and other first responders will be banging on your doors telling you to evacuate, or you'll hear the loudspeakers from the vehicles as they drive by. So the orange here are the mandatory evacuations, and the yellow is the recommended evacuation area. So here's the Yuba River. The town of Washington is right down in here, and here's Highway 20 located right up here. Air activity continues over the fire right now as I'm recording this. There's Tanker 9-3 doing a left-hand orbit, and there's Air Attack 1-7 orbiting all morning long until he needs to be switched out for fuel. And he was monitoring that fire all day yesterday as well. Here's what the flight pattern looks like for the S2Ts that are attacking the fire from here at Nevada County Airport, located right here. Tanker 88, what's he going to come back? The Nevada County Airport sold about 1,600 gallons of jet fuel yesterday to the over 6 S2Ts that were working this fire, and then sold another 1,600 gallons of jet fuel to a tender, that tanker type truck rig that's going to be used for the helicopters. So it looks like we got Tanker 88, 89, what was this one, 93. Tanker 210 is back on. Look at this. So this was yesterday. This is the New South Wales 737 from Coulson Aviation. Coulson Aviation out of Canada, but it's wintertime down in Australia right now. So they have made available this 737 here for us in California this year. KCRA-3 was able to catch some of this air tanker operation yesterday. There's the 737 circling over the fire, getting ready to drop. But they were pretty far away, and even with their super high definition cameras, it was a little bit fuzzy of a picture to capture it from that distance. But they didn't want to get tangled up with the firefighting activity. They were also able to get some shots of the air attack base, and right there where I was doing the live feed yesterday, at the Grass Valley Air Attack Base and our hangars at Nevada County Airport. Here's a good example of an S2T drop captured by KCRA, but again, they're stood off so far that the S2T is going to drop below the ridge. That's the ridge of the Washington Road, and looks like he's dropping on the right flank and the heel of the fire, right down, pretty close down towards the bottom of that canyon, and then escapes down the drainage. Quite a few helicopters operating on the fire as well. This is known as a Bambi bucket, hung on a long line. He's going to dip down and get water out of either the Yuba or the Washington Creek and drop it on hot spots. Generally, the helicopters stay even lower than the air tankers, and all this is separated. All this air traffic is separated by the air attack overhead. And here's the other interesting air tanker that was on the fire yesterday, and maybe back today. This is the Erickson Mad Dog MD-87 aircraft, which is a peculiar air tanker with its 2 rear-mounted engines, and was certified to. And look at that high angle of attack that he has to motor around the fire with. Tab-flown flight controls. I flew these for the airlines, the MD-80 series of aircraft. And this particular aircraft was only certified to be used as an air tanker if they drop with their landing gear down. So, and I'm still not clear to this day why that is the case, that only this tanker is required to drop with its gear down. But part of it, I think, has to do with retardant getting into the rear-mounted engines. Okay, here comes the MD-87 in on his drop, I believe. Can you see the landing gear? Yeah, there goes the drop. And he's kind of following along the path of the S2s. That'd be the right flank of the fire, working his way down towards the heel of the fire and in and out of that canyon. Some steep canyon flying. Fortunately, there's not a lot of wind to drive this fire. Though we don't have a lot of wind to drive this fire, we got a lot of excess timber, a lot of drought-stricken timber, and this morning, this is looking towards the west. You can see the diurnal breeze coming out of the mountains, the downsloping breeze, bringing that smoke right down towards Blanco Lirio Global Headquarters, Grass Valley, and Nevada City. And as the day progresses, the winds will turn around and move upslope, clearing out the smoke from our area and blowing the smoke upstream. A nice view showing the Sierra Buttes in the distance. South Yuba River Canyon here. There's a Middle Fork Yuba and a North Fork Yuba in the distance. Here's a reference point showing how close the fire is to the Nevada County Airport. So the air tankers, as you saw in the live feed from yesterday, depart runway 25 going this way. They were doing a left-hand pattern coming around and entering the orbit over the fire, dropping, working their way down the drainage, climbing back out, and returning on a 45 for runway 07 and coming in and landing uphill on runway 07, returning to the tanker base here and getting turned around in about a 4 or 5 minute turnaround time. And there you can see the tanks to the retardant tanks at the air attack base, where they mix the retardant and refuel or reload the aircraft with. And this morning I caught a rare shot of a empty tanker landing on runway 25,
runway 25,
the downhill runway here at Nevada County Airport. But they generally like to land on runway 7 to save their brakes. So at 30 acres, the fire is only 5% contained at this time. It is a federal fire, not a CAL fire, so heed those evacuation warnings, and we got to keep a close watch on this. Thank you so much for your support of this channel, especially the folks over on Patreon that make this content possible. See you here.